evaluation report because it's not complete at this point. I lost my chief deputy, left on Friday the 1st. I learned about this after our last meeting, so I got my 2 weeks notice, and therefore we don't get the bank statements till the bank statements come Tuesday the 5th after Labor Day, and we had like 3 days. So a couple days last week it was myself and Cindy working the office, and I was sick as could be too last week. Anyway, Dr. Boggs has given Amy permission to come in and help train my new deputy, who I did hire today. I'm anxious or excited for her. She does have some good accounting background, and her name is Heather Bruno. So Amy is going to be able to come in. She doesn't work her new position. She doesn't work Fridays. So Dr. Boggs has given her permission to work a few hours here and there and help do some training and help us through this transition. I hope to Friday have a good, I can email you each a report on Friday. So that's been a lot going on right now. I tell you, between last week and even today, I could hardly catch a breath. Not easy trying to train somebody too. You've got a pile of work, and everything you do takes twice as long because you're having to show them every move you're making instead of just doing it and working along. So I do apologize for not having that report in your file, but it's kind of hard to complete from Tuesday and have it in your folders on Friday. There's a lot of accounts there to look at, but they will be fine, and I do have confidence that everything will all be good. Our tax sale from the tax sale foreclosures, one of the properties that was in the sale, that buyer fell through. So we have a new sale on September 29th. This is not the no minimum bid sale. This is a redo. So it will still be up for the taxes as the minimum bid. It's roughly $13,000, and it's the 551 Cary Street over here in Corunna. It's a 2-story. Needs some loving, needs some work, but it could be a nice property. Could be a cool property, I think, and it is on the river there. So we've got that looking at. Other than that, I don't have anything. We're just busy. The summer taxes are due September 14th, so we have homeowners. We collect Shiawassee Township summer, so we've been very busy with that. Big stacks of mail and people at the counter, so keeping us busy in that sense too.
Okay. Anybody have anything for Julie? All right, thank you.
Okay, thank you guys.
All right, our one agenda item, I would entertain a motion to approve the replacement of the emergency manager position at a grade 11 for 24 hours per week.
Support.
And I will motion support. Jeff Wise is leaving us, I hear.
That's correct, assuming that his contract is approved tonight for his new position as the chief of police in the community he lives in. And so the sheriff will be seeking a replacement of the emergency manager position. And as you can see, it's about 35% grant funded from a Homeland Security grant, and the pay range is listed on there as part of the grade 11 step 4. So, and I think he has some leads, but been with us for a while, and I'm sure his contract will get approved tonight.
And we are required to have an emergency manager, correct?
Part of the Homeland Security funding in addition to all that kind of stuff.
I've always kind of wondered what they do. But
I want to work with 911, as he does. I do hear from him quite often in weather events and weather emergencies. So he's constantly monitoring those. He does a lot of search and rescue related things.
Do they do the violent event training kind of things and what
I
they
think he
share
does,
kind of thing?
yeah.
I think he does that.
He does as well.
Training schools and churches, ongoing training about responding
Emergency.
and active
I've seen some of those, but you know, on a weekly basis. I just wonder, like going forward, maybe not every month, but maybe every quarter or something. Maybe we could just get a little update,
Sure.
something like that, just to.
Has the sheriff got somebody in mind or not?
I don't know, he's been talking to a few people, so we'll see if what direction he wishes to go with it. But he submitted a request for replacement.
Well, it's 9/11,
It is.
so he may be pushing it to get somebody in there.
All right, does anybody have anything else on that position? All those in favor of moving this forward signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, the same. That will move along. And unless anyone is showing up from the public to comment, I think we are adjourned. Thank you.
In order, please stand by for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You? All right, first call to the public for the Econ and Physical Development meeting. Hearing none, moving on to community development reports with Peter Preston.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Zoning permits, we had 22. Building permits, we had 30. And monthly enforcements, we had 29. I just was in contact with the district court. We have approximately we have approximately 4 pending over there, and we have 7 tickets that were issued in the month of July on the municipal side of it. Once they don't do the municipal side of it and work with our office, then it goes to district court. So they are moving along. They are tallying up defaults and penalties and expenses. So it's getting done that we are following through with them.
That's good news.
That is very good news. And I give a lot of credit to Nick, our staff, who spends a lot of time working with people first, but then has no delay whatsoever issuing the ticket. Yes, sir.
What's the ballpark of the fine? Is it standard fine or is it not?
With the civil infraction ordinance, it starts at $100, and then each future violation goes up by about that much. I can't remember exactly.
Okay, I just want.
We can do it almost by the day. We do not do that. We give people an opportunity to clean things up. And most of them are junk and debris violations, but we do have occasional building code.
So Pete, the junk and debris is kind of what we're using as a blight ordinance.
Yes, and, yes. And no.
So we're going to have a meeting at Bennington Township this month that Dr. Boggs is going to attend, a special meeting, and really try to clarify what is the county's role and what is the township's role. And not to, put the blame on either or, just try to, like I said, clarify what is their role, what is our role. And I know that Nick did call Township Supervisor Leonard Ash and in a timely manner and went through a lot of his questions in the process. So.
Okay, and the one that I think Bennington has had an issue with, there was a ticket issue on that.
Good.
And I invited Pete to join us at the meeting, but we're going to get the time and date from you again.
Yep, I got it. So that's all I have. Sorry.
Okay. Any other questions?
There are some properties up in Fairfield, particularly in Carlin, the Fairfield Township Board, is kind of, they're bad. The properties are pretty bad. Do you have any idea where those are in the process? Some people are just, deciding to pay the fines and keep their junk, so.
What's interesting about that is that I just drove through there last month, and to me, it looks a little bit different than it did 10 years ago. There are some that have cleaned up. Most of those have been, not to any credit of ours, transfers and selling, but along the west side, towards the northern end,
Yep.
we still have the one.
Yes.
And that one has been, that's been a 30-year-old violation. And so, yeah, we can focus on that. And what, it helps us when we have something from the board that just simply says, not blanket, but we feel that these certain properties, that there's something going on. And what that provides us is, we're just not the folks with the horns and the forked tail going out there and talking about, you have a whole township board that has identified your property as an issue. There's certain townships and certain communities that there's such pressure from other folks in the community, at church or something like that, that it really helps with these enforcement issues if it gets out there. But unfortunately, something like that has gone on for a long time. And that is one that I think would lead into what Cindy's talking about. Where does the responsibility lie? Because everything there is a household product. It's not hazardous material.
Right.
Doesn't need to be plated. It's not, it's just what you might find in some people's yards or sitting on their porch. It's just a lot of it.
So one of the issues that there is a line that has to be reviewed between planning and zoning and building, and then what is general purpose, general powers. And general powers, general police powers are reserved for the township, not the county. So some of these are ordinances the township needs to also pass. Now they can work with us about enforcement, but they have to have an ordinance themselves for some of these things. And so that's where we're trying to, with Bennington Township, figure out the appropriate mechanism, because if it doesn't fall under one of our powers that we have, it's got to fall under one of the township's powers. Even if they work with us on who's implementing those, there's got to be something related to that on their side as well, because they have general police powers that we do not.
So, going back to several months ago, Rush Township had some concerns about some marijuana grows within the limits of Henderson, and they worked with the county some, I think, on that. And the problem with the townships is they don't have bodies who are the police powers. You know what I mean? They don't have enforcement people.
Which is why I'm saying they could come up with, find a way, an agreement, a resolution approved by their board, our board, with some kind of outline of how we can do that. And Pete's people can do that. We just need to make sure that their stuff is aligned, they have delegated or allowed that authority to be given to Pete. And so that's the process that we're gonna start working on with Bennington. Because I get it, some of these are very rural townships, they don't have the staff, they don't have the support, they don't have the code enforcement officers for those kind of things. They don't have a local police department, and the sheriff's department doesn't do that because, again, that's not the type of police power we're talking about. When I say police power in this context, I'm talking about state authority.
Right, I understand.
Well, and if I could, I don't think it's just Bennington. I think that we all hear these concerns from the townships, and just to really get a good clarification would be helpful. And one of the things I know Bennington is considering is hiring a code enforcement person, and how would that look? So what they do may help. Some of the other townships, maybe not, but definitely a clarification, and maybe how can we better work together so that we don't have these properties for 10 years or 20 years or 30 years. Because I know there's a couple in Bennington, and not just the board, but residents coming to the board. We had residents have a whole packet, pictures. They had it labeled Exhibit A, Exhibit B. I did give that to Dr. Boggs. So it isn't just the township boards, they're getting pressure from the residents and just on up. So I'm looking forward to seeing what we can do.
Pete's probably turned them into the inspection and turned them in, haven't you, if they're that bad, most likely.
Again, when I got here, there were well over 600 violations that were just being repetitively turned over, so. It's a big undertaking, and I agree with you that the township board is always or should be, the bullhorn for the residents. So it's, yeah, we have some outstanding violations, and that's why we push so hard to get the civil infraction up and running. But we also don't want to, we want to work with some people. There are some mental illnesses out there with certain things. There are just not understanding or knowing, and so we do not just go around and slam tickets at people. We do try to work with them. So that's working with the township would be fine. But I think first step is to get a clarification on what the responsibilities are.
And that's key, because if we write a ticket for something that we don't have the authority to write a ticket for, it's gonna be thrown out.
And waste everybody's time.
I know in the last month, I received a call from an irate consumer in Woodhull Township, and Mr. Preston and I spoke about it a few minutes ago. Well, at that time, I talked to Dr. Boggs and to Mr. Preston. Well, I didn't talk to Mr. Preston about it. And Pete said he would get back with me on that shortly. It seemed like a minor kind of issue to me, but to this guy, it was like very significant. I guess it was his next door neighbor, so perhaps that enhanced his concern.
And it's
Yeah, and I appreciate the issue that with the townships. I know, as you all know, Perry Township, there's a lot going on there right now, and the Woodhull Township folks are also concerned. They're both in the situation of doing their own planning, but not the enforcement, and so they tend to look at things in a similar way.
And that's why we just have to be clear on how we can do it, what ordinances they may need to pass, or resolutions, so that we can enforce those things.
I guess I'd be interested in the meeting that you can have in Bennington.
Yeah, I can let you know
Yeah,
the
nice to hear that.
date and time.
It's gonna be a public meeting, so.
Okay.
And will you send that out on us?
Any other comments? Here you go. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, next up, agenda items. Item A, I would look for a motion to approve the L4029 2023 tax rate request as presented and instruct the chair and clerk to execute the same.
I make that motion.
All right, we have a motion.
Oh, I'm not on that, so.
Yeah, yes, you are. Economic, fiscal, yes.
Oh, okay, yeah,
Was it valid?
okay, oh, that's right, yes. I'm sorry, I got mixed up with Cindy.
I'm sorry.
Any comments?
Yes, just very briefly, if you look at the cover sheet for agenda item A, based on our taxable value of approximately $2.4 billion, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 millages, and the approximate amounts that they will yield for this next taxable year. So the seniors millage will collect about 1.2 million. Medical care facility will collect about 4.6 million. The MSU extension grant, or MSU extension will collect about 180,000. Veterans, this is the PA 214, will be about 236,000. And the other veterans millage will be about 461,000. For a total of $6.7 million of millage.
Okay. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor of moving this on Wednesday, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Nays? Motion passed. Next, I would look for a motion to accept the recommendation of the planning commission and amend the zoning map through ordinance 23-09-03, changing the parcel from RT to A2.
I'll make the motion.
Support?
All right, we have a motion of support. Discussion.
Pete, you want
Just briefly, this is a property that's located in Burns Township, just north of Byron there. The issue with this property is I've been speaking with folks over the last dozen years. Occasionally somebody will stumble across it, they'll wanna just put a house on it, I tell them they need to rezone. Done this for more than a decade. Finally, somebody bought it and is rezoning it. It is reserved, it was under the zoning for mobile home park type development. However, with modern mobile home park type developments, you're going to need sewer treatment and all of that. And that is quite an expensive endeavor for that area and where it's located, given residential densities. So these folks are wanting to turn it into essentially a single-family residence and have it zoned A2 so they can do some agriculture on it. So it seems to fit, and we did not get a huge public outcry.
No outcry at all.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Oh, no, I'm good.
I did have a question on that. Once it's rezoned, then it would not be suitable for a trailer park
Right.
development. How are we in general countywide, at least under county jurisdiction, as far as avoiding exclusionary zoning? Do we still have suitable places for?
We do, because we still have a zoning district, and that can be applied to any property that what these folks are looking for now is usually, we're looking for two things: access to sewer and water, or really, really cheap land. So they would have to go through the rezoning process that gets the RT district. We have enough available land under the master plan that would be suitable for high-density residential. So we are covered on that.
And this piece of property was a larger chunk that had more road frontage. And when they originally, many, many years ago, split it off, there are chunks of property along the road that are trailer parks right now.
Oh.
So they did individual parcels with individual trailers instead of one large trailer park. And then this is the remaining inner chunk with less road frontage that's left over.
The intent being sell off the frontage to get enough money to develop the back, and it just didn't happen.
Okay. Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of moving this on to Wednesday, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Nays? Motion passed. Next, I look for a motion to approve the park rules as presented.
I'll make the motion.
Support?
All right, motion with support. Discussion?
So just very briefly, two quick things. So the Parks Board, and I know Brad, you're on the Parks Board, several people have reviewed these. The committee has gone over them. They've come to Eric and myself, who have reviewed them. We've made some revision changes to comply with laws for parks, sent them back. The board has approved them. They've now come back to us. So that's where we are with the park rules, and they've been approved by the board, the Parks and Rec Board, for approval. These will then be posted in the parks, and then with the posted rules, as the county road patrol is going around, they can enforce people leaving at sunset and the other provisions that it outlines in there. And then the second thing, is Tim here? Tim was going to provide you guys with a brief update on some of the things that he's been doing with the parks and the changes over the last couple of weeks.
Okay.
Let that
Yeah,
now.
Yeah, let's do that now.
we have been busy in the parks. I mean, lately, for some reason, we've had a rash of, somebody thinks they're an artist, and we've had graffiti on just about every bathroom that we have. Just missed them recently. The paint was still wet. So I must have just missed them the one time, but haven't been able to catch them yet, but I'm sure sooner or later, that hopefully they will be caught. But we've cleaned up most of that in the past weeks, and lately, with all the rain we've had, we've been just mowing. And it's been every day mow, and then it gets hot, and the grass grows even faster. So we've been busy with that. We did fix a couple, for some reason, back in the day, they put the tables in out to get, which I think you've seen. Frost or something has heaved them, but we went out and a couple were crooked. They were having that Ambets party out there this last weekend. The two worst ones, we were able to get out, bust out off all the cement. We have a plan to do the other 4 out there that we didn't get done, but mean, there is a little bit out to Henderson, but not like in the pavilions directly. So, and then, I know you guys mentioned that I seen the steps and we'll be fixing the steps out to Henderson too. It's more than just one board. It's, like 5 or 6 steps and a couple boards. But we'll be taking care of that in the next week also.
Okay. So I think the parks have come a long way,
They look fantastic.
and lots of use, so.
Plus, we did have a tree that fell in the bathroom at Henderson, and we've been working on getting that cleaned up and repaired
The river's
You know,
getting a lot of use.
on that.
Okay.
There's always something.
All right, thank you very
All right.
much. Okay. All right, let's vote on the motion on the table. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Nays. Motion passed. The last item, I would look for a motion to appoint Christina Arlene to the vacant position on the ZBA board.
I'll
Thank
make
you.
that motion.
Support.
All right, we have a motion of support. Discussion.
Just very briefly, she was serving as the alternate. There was some question about whether she could serve on the ZBA or not because she lives in a Wassoo charter township that does their own planning and zoning, so they have their own ZBA. So we did verify that under MCL 125.3601, that she just has to be a resident of the county in its entirety of its jurisdiction, but not in a city or village. So she is eligible to serve.
Okay. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Nays? Motion moves on to Wednesday. This brings us to our final call to the public. Hearing none, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much.